What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the Outrider update video. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And some of you may not know what this ship is, and if you don't, that's okay. I'm an old guy, so look, I'm bringing something back from the heyday from when I was young. I told you guys I was going to be doing a series of small builds, and this is me keeping my promise. So the Outrider was a ship from an old Nintendo 64 game, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. It was Dash Rendar's ship. Fun game for its time. I really enjoyed it. And I was trying to think of new things that I can make on my YouTube channel, because I'm not going to be veering away from building starships as far as in Star Trek goes, but I'm going to be doing other things in addition to that, because that's kind of something my channel has always been. I've never just done Star Trek ships. I've always just kind of done a little bit of everything. However, within the last couple of years, that did kind of turn into my focus, because once I started putting out videos consistently and people saw my Enterprise, like, ooh, Enterprise, what other ships from Star Trek can you make? And it just kind of blew up from that. So I kind of want to go back to my roots a little bit with being able to do a variety of builds. And I'm actually really excited to show this thing off to you guys. Now, this is not going to be just a one-episode tutorial. I tried really hard to build this within the shortest time frame possible. If I'm not mistaken, I think I had this built within 2 hours. So I was toying with how long I was going to make this tutorial series, and what I ultimately ended up deciding on was that this is going to be a 4-part mini-series. Each episode will be a half hour. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be doing this just like the tutorials for all my other ships going forward, where I'm just going to be doing the outside of the ship. Because if I don't have anybody really having any interest in this build or the interior, there's really no point in me fleshing this whole thing out. So if this is something that you want to see, me getting into the interior, you need to let me know in the comments section, because if I don't have anybody asking me for it, and if I don't see that there's a demand, once I put this tutorial out, this is all I'm going to be doing, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. So I'm really excited to finally show this thing off. This ship has been on my list for just a little bit of time. I'm not going to go down the entire list of all my upcoming builds, but you have to join my Discord if you want to see it. I've got a ton of future builds that I'm going to be doing. And with that being said, I still need small build ideas. And what I mean by small build ideas, something like within the range of the Outrider, something that I can build within a 2-hour period. Now, of course, it's not going to be realistic if you ask me to build Deep Space Nine or a Star Destroyer or the Death Star in one episode. That's just not possible. So I'm talking about a small scale ship that I can do within or small scale build that I can do within a reasonable amount of time. So let's talk a little bit about the Outrider. So this was, I think it's actually within the Carillion line, if I'm not mistaken. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a mega nerd when it comes to Star Wars. I'd put myself more as a casual fan with it. So if it's not within that class, don't hold it against me. I just know that, if I'm not mistaken, it's a sister ship or within the same type as far as the Millennium Falcon goes. One of the things I love about this ship is just all the paneling and things that it has. Now, one of the things that, if you are familiar with this ship, that you're going to notice a big change is the black areas were, as far as the top here, the sides, and then the bottom. You're going to notice that there's no circuitry and there's no panels and things sticking out. My main reason for making that decision, I had tested a couple of things, but nothing was coming out really with what I was looking for. As you look at the Millennium Falcon, for example, if you're not that familiar with the Outrider, you're looking at the ship from the side, you see a lot of pipes and things like that coming out. And Minecraft really doesn't have stuff like that that you can make, other than like the lightning rods and whatnot, but you can't really make them in the shape of like piping that we would need to do. So I just kind of made that decision to, okay, I'm just going to have some areas where maybe it's going to be a little bit more simplistic. I didn't go super overboard with this build. Once I got to a certain point, I just kind of decided that I was done. There was more detailing that I could have completed, but sometimes, and especially in Minecraft, less is more. You don't want to overcrowd your build with a whole bunch of bells and whistles to the point that you're covering up all your beautiful design work. So that's why, it's kind of important to have like that nice balance of your detailing, but also the overall design of the ship to have that stand out, but have the detailing complement the ship in a way that it looks fantastic. I think that there's just enough detailing from the Outrider to where if you know this ship, I mean, to me, this is the Outrider. Um, there's no doubt about it. Now, the one thing that is a little bit different, like, is the cockpit area here in the front. Um, Even the Falcon, these are based off of old bomber planes. And within Minecraft, I just couldn't fully get it to the shape that I wanted it to. But all things considered, I don't think this looks bad. Um, Even the back vents on here, like it definitely is very, very reminiscent of the Falcon, and then the two gun points in the very top and bottom. I use the lightning rods as the guns. Now they are a little bit thin, um, but this was just something that was a quick solution that I came up with at the time. I really didn't spend too much time on this area as far as thinking what I wanted to do. I just built it out and like, oh, I can use the lightning rods. I just called it a day. I could have maybe used a different shade of block up here, maybe a gray or something, or maybe gray down here at the bottom for the neck of it. But I don't think it looks bad. What I really love about this build, though, is the paneling between the gray half slabs, which was actually a last-minute addition to the quartz half slabs. I ended up doing the gray half slabs to really simulate the paneling that the Outrider has. And when you look at this thing, especially from the top, I mean, this thing just looks gorgeous. I'm loving how this build came out. And this wasn't a super complicated build. Like I said, I built this thing within a 2-hour period. I started the build I want to say in the beginning of this week, and I worked on it either for 2 nights or 3 nights, if I'm not mistaken. But I really just tried to grind it out and try to get as much done as I could in the shortest period of time, because what I was really going for, and I apologize I wasn't able to make it happen, I was trying to get this thing built within a time frame that I can do it within just a single episode. Now, I could have maybe put out this in just one episode when it's going to come out next week, but it would be a 2-hour episode, and I feel like that would have been way too much on the community. So I decided not to do that, because I do look at my analytics and everything on my YouTube, and as far as the time frame that I'm able to maintain people's attention. So it just kind of felt like the best thing for me to do at this point was not even just to split it up into 2 episodes, because it would have been an hour each, but the best thing to do was to do 4 episodes. So I think what's going to end up happening with the Outrider is that this is going to come out over a 4-week period. I'll put out an episode a week in addition to Voyager. So just by this coming out, this is not going to impact Voyager at all. This is just going to be one of these builds that I do in addition to Voyager, just to give you guys something a little bit extra while you're working on that, for those of you that are either not feeling Voyager, or maybe you need something to work on while you're working on Voyager to take your mind off stuff. Maybe you're stuck on Voyager. Maybe you can't figure out what to do, or maybe you're just getting bored on it and you need to take a break. Having something else to work on can be very, very beneficial for you. This is something that I've adopted into my build process, and why you're going to see me doing way more builds now, because focusing on just one build can burn you out, especially when you're just building one ship or whatever, just one build in general. It's a great idea to have at least one other build to go over to so you can take breaks. Now, there's a couple of small liberties that I made with the Outrider, like on the sides here with the red striping. Now, the ship did have the red pinstriping. Well, not pinstriping, but little red details for like the paneling. I ended up just stretching it out here. This side panel here is probably the most liberty I took with the entire build. One of the things I did also do, the bottom side of it is really not all that detailed compared to the top. I probably could have done that, but the way I kind of looked at it is that I just wanted to do enough detailing for the bottom, so this way when you're coming up to the ship and getting ready to go inside of it, if we end up doing an interior, that you have enough to get the gust out of it. Now that being said, if this thing blows up and I get a ton of views and I get a ton of requests of people asking me, hey, I want to see you do an interior, and hey, I want to see you flesh out more of that bottom side. Well, now I've got something to work on and I can give you guys that extra content. So definitely keep that in mind. So if you want to see more of this ship, you need to let me know, because I have the space that I've made for it. I haven't cleared all this out yet, but I've done this in the event that we don't make a second series of episodes for the Outrider. I made a point to locate where you're able to get into the in and out of the ship, and at least to be able to come inside of it. I don't have any of this cleared out though. None of it has been cleared out, but we can easily get in there if we need to. So we've got all this space here, and if you guys want to see it, you need to let me know in the comments. We'll see what happens. But let's go back out. Well, before we get back out, one of the cool things in here that will be neat to work on if we do get to do the interior will be the gunner seat area. Now on the inside, we won't have a ton of room, but once we clear all this stuff out, we'll have just enough room to where maybe we can put a seat here in the middle, or maybe something towards the top or something towards the very bottom, just to make it look like you could have a man person there and there. But what we'll ultimately have to do, we'll have to get our reference material, or screenshots, whatever we can find of the interior blueprint of the Outrider to help us out, guide us in the direction that we need to go into. But yeah, some of these other things I want to point out here, like the colored paneling here, like the yellows and the reds. These were just little tiny details that I just threw in, that they were in the they're on the designs of the Outrider, and I wanted to make a point to have them on the ship. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like with the reference material that I found online, I think that had a little bit more color than what I ended up doing on mine, because again, I kind of felt like less is more, and once I got to this point, I was like, okay, I think she's done. And that's going to be one of those things with your build, like I feel like you're going to know when your ship is done. You're going to know when your house is done, whatever build you're working on. You're going to have a feeling on when you've done everything that you need to do. Even with the back paneling here, with these blocks, this was the stripped warp stems. I got this as part of the grid pixel texture pack. I use this on all of my worlds. It's a fantastic addition to really help you be able to build starships, because you get just enough of the blocks that you need. I use a combination of a couple of different texture packs, and if you're interested in knowing specifically which texture packs I use in what order, let me know. I'll drop a comment for you and let you know what those are specifically. Now, one of the other things I actually really love about this Outrider is just like the overall shape. Like, it's almost funny. It's like they took the Millennium Falcon and they turned it sideways, and then they cut off part of the right side here, and then they moved the pod, the pilot pod. But what I love that it has this extra piece to it. It just feels more kind of like a spaceship to me. I really dig it. I'm actually kind of surprised that they never did more with the Dash Rendar character. I thought that he was maybe a little bit underrated. I think that they could have done a few more games with him, shows, things like that. It would have been interesting, but bear in mind, it's been a long time since I played Shadows of the Empire. Going back and playing that game now, it could be total trash, and I wouldn't even remember it that way. And if it is, don't tell me, because I want to remember this game for what it was, and not for if it aged well or badly. You know what I mean? But I'm pretty happy with how this thing came out. For what it is and the scale of it, I can safely say that I was able to do everything that I wanted to do with this build. There wasn't really any areas that I had to compromise and change things up. And again, I built it in a relatively short period of time. So I think that's more or less pretty much everything I want to point out. Oh, this back area here. I like this back piece here, the back end of the cockpit. It almost reminded me of the sides on the Falcon, and I thought that was a really neat addition to the ship. And even like this gray area here on the sides. Now, I had seen concept art and different things that this area here was a little bit different. Um, I didn't look up the exact screenshots from the game. I just looked on Google and I found a couple of different screenshots and I just kind of threw this thing together. So if this isn't 110% accurate to how it looked in the game, don't hold it against me. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. You know, I think some people are way too serious with as far as canon being those canon gatekeepers. You know, with what I'm doing here on Minecraft, like that attitude just completely defeats the purpose of what I'm going for here, because really I think the whole point here is to have fun and do something relaxing, and if you can achieve that, who cares what anybody else thinks? What matters is what you like, and if it came out good, and if other people like it, hey, that's a plus. But I think that's kind of all I got to talk about here. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about this build. I've only done one other Star Wars ship in the past. It was the Millennium Falcon years and years ago when I first started building on Minecraft, and it wasn't a great attempt. This is so far superior to it. But again, I haven't really dipped my toe into building any ships out of Star Wars, so very, very curious to see what you guys have to say about this build. So if you can help me out, drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel about it. If you love it, great. I want to hear about it. If you think this thing looks like trash, I want to hear about it. If you want another season of this, well, I guess you wouldn't even call it a season, another mini season of the Outrider that we actually get into working out the interior and also developing a little bit more of the underside of the ship. Maybe we could even add in some of the landing gear, make a platform to make this thing look like it was you know, just kind of stationed here, which wouldn't be super hard to do. So there's a couple of ideas that you guys can marinate on and think about if this is something that you'd be interested in seeing. And again, you know, if not, that's not a big deal. We'll move on to the next build. That's going to be the whole beauty of doing things this way, that I get to do way, way more for you guys. Also, I've got a ton of cool stuff coming up in the future. I'm not going to go down the list of all the builds I'm going to be doing. So if you want to get a glimpse of some of the builds that I've already committed to building, you need to go ahead and join the Discord and check out my upcoming build list. I've got like 15 different builds on there, and believe it or not, the majority of them are just builds that people have suggested. I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to this, please do not send me a direct message on Discord and be like, I need you to build this for me. Can you please do it? Help me out. Go on my Discord, go under build suggestions. If you click on the Minecraft tab, click on build suggestions, add your suggestion. If it's something that I want to make, I will go ahead and do it. If it's something that I'm kind of iffy on and I want to wait to see what the community wants, I'm going to let that just sit up there so people can vote on it. You can also drop your comment below on YouTube, and I'll be taking those suggestions and adding them to the Discord so people can vote on them. But we do have some stuff that I have talked about that I do want to briefly mention. We've got Voyager Season 1 that's currently ongoing, and if you guys want Voyager Season 2, you need to let me know if you want that interior for Voyager. We've also got the Excelsior 2 class that's going to be coming up, as well as the Enterprise D Season 2. Really looking forward to that. And then, of course, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Once we hit 1,000, I'm going to be doing the tutorial for the Enterprise A 1.1. So those of you that have been waiting for this build, it's coming. And we're getting so close, I'm actually getting ready to start building out my Enterprise A 1.1. I might put out a couple of update videos to get people more excited. So if that's something that you want to see, help me out. Share my video, share my channel with your friends. See if you can get anybody to join in. I greatly appreciate it. But once we hit 1,000 subscribers, it'll be unlocking that tutorial. And hopefully I'll have it completed by that point. But I promise you, I'm making the commitment now that I am actually going to start working on the Enterprise A 1.1 this weekend, so that this way I can try to have it done by the time that we hit 1,000 subscribers. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for me today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button and helping me support the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And yeah, I just want to thank you all again for tuning in for today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And what did you make of Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.